morning.
Good morning. I only knew Ron was off because you informed me maybe there'd be a chance we could do this together. And I think we finalized that I could do this with you about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, isn't that great?
That's awesome.
Aren't you excited?
I am actually very excited. This is like the fun part of our job, right?
It is fun. Andy Mack, good morning. Good
Hello.
to see you too, my friend.
I thought Ron was looking a little different this morning. That's what I was saying.
Right? I was like, Ron, did you dye your hair? What is happening here? What is happening?
And he apparently lost some of his hair too.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining today. And we're talking about a few big topics. And to all of you in the chat box, thank you so much for sharing part of your day with us as well. Mr. Pavline, good morning. Isabella. Bella's here. She's behind the scenes as well. She'll join us here in just a few moments. But Mr. Pavline, Sherry Nevada Pup, thank you so much for joining us as well. So it's good to see all of you here. We hope you had a great weekend. We have a couple stories that we want to chat about first and get kind of your guys' thoughts on them as well. Let's talk about this first one. We're going to take you to the town of Guadalupe. This one, where this took place, let's go right to this.
Get the call for service from the end and make contact here right behind us with an adult male. At this point, we're going to say they start talking to him, asking him what's going on. They do confirm. He starts to make suicidal comments to them, at which time he pulls out what we are going to describe right now as a bladed weapon. Deputies gave commands, told him to drop the weapon. He would not comply. Both deputies fired their service weapon. The suspect was shot, and he was pronounced deceased on scene.
Some details and some background on this story. Have you guys heard a little bit about this at all?
I just get the first glance there.
Yeah. This is that was the Maricopa County Sheriff's deputy speaking, but MCSO deputies in Guadalupe they were there overnight, and there was a hit and run crash that started on the US 60. So that's where it first started, and then there was the suspect, the driver. He drove into town. Guadalupe, for those of you who don't know, is right there on near around Priest and I guess you could say. Baseline area. And so the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, they say the man ran off after the crash, and his family called MCSO saying he had been suicidal, and then deputies arrived, and then the suspect continued to make some of those comments, pulled out a bladed weapon. Deputies then opened fire, killing the suspect, and now they have an investigation, and we just heard from MCSO. But how many times have we seen situations like this? They escalate so quickly.
They do.
It's so difficult for the police and law enforcement in that moment to kind of assess the situation because they don't fully understand or grasp what's going on. So just obviously very traumatic.
And there's such a desire from us as the public, I know especially us as reporters when we're on scenes like this, to know everything immediately. What exactly happened? What did that officer do in that moment? What did that officer do in that moment? And, we hear from public information officers like that trying to give us that initial info, which is fantastic. At the same time, boy, you're just filled with so many more questions beyond that. They don't have that info yet. They're trying to gather all that too.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's challenging too, I think, when things start as like a hit and run on the freeway. It's like, and then you find, or, when let's just say you're just someone watching as, you see this crash happen, or do you guys call 911 when you see things happen? Just out of curiosity?
Twice. I've called 911 twice in my life.
Have you really?
Yeah.
And I feel like, hey, we're kind of doing a public service when you're calling. I think the dispatchers know me by name now. They're like, is this Mrs. Rodriguez? Are you calling again? I think because when you see stuff happen in the community, you want to call and help, but you never know how it will escalate.
I want to be clear. How many times have you called 911?
It's maybe been about like 15 to 20 times.
Wow.
You were just out there saving lives.
Wow. Have you called 911 before?
I've called 911 like once or twice.
Yeah.
Not like.
But it's because
if
I see someone at a bus stop who looks like they're sick.
Okay.
Or if I see a man who's like collapses on the corner, then I'll call 911.
Yeah. What is the 911 etiquette when you make that phone call? Because I've always been a little stressed because they 911 and it's like I'm not sure if someone's injured. I don't know the level of the injuries.
I say that. I'll go, I don't know. I don't know if this is something to be concerned about, but I saw a man collapse on the floor, and I don't know. Is there an officer nearby that you could send that way or something? Yeah. And then she's like, sure, ma'am. Let me give me the details and. Do you want to be contacted? And then they ask for your cell phone number.
And then I'm always terrified that, 10 years from now, there's going to be a documentary about this things that's happening. And then it's my 911 call that's being played. And I'm like, oh, gosh, were there too many ums and ahs?
Yeah.
Was that too nervous sounding?
I know. What's going on?
Have they ever called you back?
Oh, my goodness. They have never called me back.
Okay.
No, which
Well,
is, yeah.
Unfortunate.
I know, right? Excuse me, ma'am. Why do you keep calling? Let's go to this next story. Dave, you said it was just VO? All right, buddy. All right, let's go ahead and roll this VO here and let's talk about this next story. This one is for a lot of you. I mean, in Arizona, this isn't entirely, hold on, that's VO2. Dave, which one is it on? SOTVO 2. Okay, let's go here. Let's go this one. And I think it's just the VO. All right, there it is. Okay, so this is what happened in this neighborhood here. A suspected burglar, he tries to break into this house. Put yourself in this homeowner's shoes. He tries to break into this house. It was in Phoenix neighborhood near 7th Avenue in Northern, so North Phoenix. And in the chat box, let us know your thoughts on this, because this is a big topic here in Arizona with, a lot of people really respecting their own gun rights and wanting to, be armed. So police believe this man was trying to steal from the house, and he breaks into the home. And the homeowner sees him, opens fire. The man who had been shot was pronounced dead at the scene. And I think a lot of people in Arizona, when we've seen these home invasions type of thing, people are armed. People have their weapons. They want to protect themselves.
It's such an interesting dynamic because I think we've been covering these long enough now that most of those homeowners, I think I'm just guessing. You try to put yourself in the minds of someone like that. You don't want to end up getting arrested protecting your house and protecting your children and protecting your family. So trying to figure out what your rights are, what you should do when. I mean, police officers really struggle with that, right? I mean, there's so many dynamics there. I can't even imagine you're just some Joe Schmo with your household handgun.
You just hear a noise. You don't even know what's going on. You're like, they didn't knock. Is that the Amazon person delivering a package?
Oh, interesting. Never thought about that.
So you don't know. And obviously I don't know very much information about what led up to this, what's going on with this. But there's, like you mentioned on the last story, more questions than answers at this point. And you see someone in your home, you're like, they shouldn't be there. But there's also a lot of scenarios where they could just be mistaken, or they could be like a neighbor, or there's a lot of different scenarios and you just have no idea, or you walked in the wrong house, you had an Airbnb, like who knows?
That's true. You mentioned the Airbnb stuff. Like if you're traveling and you're visiting a neighborhood, how do you know that is, what's or what the laws are in that state?
Right.
I actually did call 911 again.
It all comes back
on
to
this story. So we had somebody who was coincidentally cutting down. We have a big plumeria tree in our front yard.
Had? Oh, they're so gorgeous.
I know, and we were able to grow it. Have you seen a plumeria tree,
think
Andy?
So.
Oh,
okay, they're the flowers that you can make Hawaiian leis out of.
Oh, cool.
So my husband was able to grow it, and somebody kept cutting the branches, and then they obviously were wanting to like replant them or something.
That's your plant, though.
Thank you.
Oh, we need 30 minutes on this plumeria situation. We can do a deep dive.
Thank you. So I wanted to put a bear trap out, like in front of my, right? And I thought, this is going to go in the chat. This is kind of crazy.
This went in a direction I wasn't expecting.
My respect level for you just shot way. It was already very high.
Thank
but
you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. So I wanted to actually put a bear trap in our front yard because I was like, I'm going to catch these creeps. Who are these people? And so I called the police and I said, am I able to put a bear trap? He said, you are not allowed to do that, ma'am. You cannot do that. And I said, if I see this man outside, or person, whoever it is.
Like, what's to stop you? This is just decoration. It's right next to my garden gnome.
It's my property. What is happening? How do we protect our property?
What you should have done is put up a sign after that saying, police won't let me put up a bear trap. But that means that I was considering it. What else am I considering?
Right, exactly.
She's like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. She's over here just setting traps for all these guys.
That's exactly what it's like.
Maybe some Michael Jordan cutouts on trains going by.
What's going on?
And Sherry Nevada Pub says that she loves plumeria, the best flower smell ever. I'm gonna have to bring you one of these days,
I'm
Andy
saying
Mac.
like this is in the same vein of like all the lime, the lemon, the orange plants. Like
the blossoms.
It's so cool. Like, but like. Hey, they're not using their limes. Like, if it's a kind of
Can you grab one?
Like, I'm not saying we're cutting down your tree.
Thank you, Andy. Was it you actually? Am I supposed to be looking for you?
As I've gotten older in the dad mode, the green thumb has come out a little bit, but I'm not quite there of stealing and foraging
Right.
for different plants from my front yard.
If I see you digging through my herb garden. So Just Miss Jamie says, and are you new to the chat, Just Miss Jamie? She says, no trespassing signs and cameras are what she puts out on her property. Good morning, Scottsdale Coyote as well. And Golden Bruin, good morning, says, it's quite simple for me. My role is to protect my children. If you break into my home, I am not a detective nor a life counselor. I am not seeking to determine what your intentions are if you break in. Well said. So I asked the officer to wrap up this part. I said, well, what happens if I see him approaching my property? He says, unless he's doing damage to your property, you cannot defend yourself. Because I said, what if I go after him with like a baseball bat or something, right? Like I was like, get off my property. He says, you can't do that. It's actually against the law unless they're hurting you physically or hurting your person. I said, what if they're destroying my vehicle? He said, then you still cannot do it because they're not going after your person. Isn't that interesting?
So legally, all I'm allowed to do is, come on, guys.
Yes.
Come on.
Come on. Come on. Can you
That's-
back up,
that's
please?
tough. That feels a little tough.
Doesn't it?
But then, I don't know, not that you would do anything, but also like, what is police going to do if you did
Exactly.
protect your property
So I think
or felt endangered in some way?
Right. So I think like in a courthouse, among your peers, if a jury was looking at it, they'd probably say not guilty. We see there's reasonable, but
How often do you call your local dispatcher to try to find the gray area of the law?
that was the first time.
Okay.
But I have considered it many times. Like, what about this or what about that? They're actually very pleasant. I appreciate all of you dispatchers out there.
That's a hard job.
That is a hard job. You've been to the dispatch center.
Oh, they're constantly. I mean, they're so busy, and they're also essentially the secretary for the entire police department
yes.
too.
Correct.
Yes.
And they have Syleste calling every day to see about any deals. We got happy hour going. Where's the best? They're just like gray areas of all these things. If I arrive at the restaurant at 4:55 and the happy hour ends, it's like great.
I haven't asked him about the happy hour. That's actually a good point. All right, we're going to go to your poll question and get your guys' thoughts on this because our chat box is on fire. You guys want to share some of your thoughts. So our first poll question here this morning is, let me go here so I can give you a look. Do you agree with Governor Hobbs' call to investigate the decision to let the Grand Canyon fires burn? Let's give you a little bit of background on this story right now. So up in our higher elevations, we have a couple of fires that are burning. We're going to leave this up for you. We'll get to your mystery camera in just a quick moment. We're going to take a quick break first, and we'll be right back. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. And thank you to Steph working the audio back there. Well done, sister. Okay. We are back, and this is another look at your poll question. Good morning to all of you in the chat. Mr. Pavoline, good morning to you, my friend. And Beacon D forever. Angela Brockelman, but you changed for the channel. Nice to see you up in the chat. Okay, this is your poll question of the day. Do you agree with Governor Hobbs' call to investigate the decision to let the Grand Canyon fires burn? To give you some background, because I threw this up quite late there before we went to break, there was a couple fires, of course, right now that are burning in our higher elevations, and one of the fires began as a prescribed burn, and that one was allowed to burn, and the governor is now questioning whether or not they should have allowed that to burn. And so we'll have to see. Thank you for your thoughts on that.
I'm really surprised a little bit by the results there. I don't know if that's just maybe more Governor Hobbs' sentiment there that we're getting that response, because I would find, I think most people, if your house is in trouble from a wildfire and it was allowed to burn, I think you'd be pretty upset.
I know, right?
Especially in an area like that where it's the Grand Canyon, obviously the national parks kind of factors into different things. But yeah, I mean, like those are historic. The stuff that went down on the North Rim were dating back to 100 years.
Yeah, so now they have to rebuild.
I know.
That lodge.
Yeah, and like several caverns and like 50 to 80 structures. That was the report last night. So I imagine it's only growing a little bit more too.
Yeah, sadly. Let's go to our poll question here with on YouTube. And let me bring Big D. Let me bring Dave. How do we bring in Big D's camera? Let's see. Dave goes, that's me. That's me. That's
you just push the Dave button. But you
yeah, there we go.
The
okay.
Dave button. We don't have a button. Why does Dave get a button?
Yeah, Dave's got a button. We've got you're the guest, Andy
okay,
Mac.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then we got a Ron button, which is Steve. Or I'm the Ron. Anyways, moving on.
Am I the Syleste button?
You
are the Syleste button,
good,
yes.
Yeah.
What are we looking at on YouTube, my friend?
Yeah, so on YouTube, you can see that the results are very different. Like Steve mentioned, we have about 150 votes so far, and 60% are calling for that independent investigation versus 40% saying no, just focus on recovery. And there's Isabella with the Bella Bomb.
The Bella Bomb. Hey. Hashtag Bella Bomb. All right, Big D, thank you so much. Okay, so we are also going to bring in this morning Laura Douglas from ADOT, and we are going to talk about ADOT has a lot of different projects that they're working on.
They're busy.
Andy Mac, how long have you lived in the valley here?
3 years.
3 years. And Steve?
I lived here 6 years now, but went to ASU as well.
Yeah,
so
Cronkite grad.
10 years
back.
combined.
You're an honorary Cronkite grad because I graduated from Cronkite.
Okay, well, hey,
too,
whatever.
so.
Well, we're Big 12 rivals, so that's whatever.
As long as you're not a Wildcat. I don't know.
That's true.
But we're going to bring Laura Douglas in from ADOT. Laura, good morning to you. Laura, can you hear me okay? Hi, good morning. I think we may be working on her audio. Let me give you some background here. They're working on a couple of different projects while we work on her audio.
Hi, Laura, can you hear Syleste?
Oh, hi. Laura, can you hear us okay?
I can hear a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now? Any better? I feel like
What's that? Do you want to repeat the question?
Yeah, hello, it's Syleste. Hi, I feel like we're in the Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? I think her... What's that?
Relay. Say your question.
Oh, relay. Okay, Laura, good morning. Can you tell us a little bit more about the flex lanes that are
Tell
up
us
there
about the
in
flex lanes.
higher elevations? Okay, I think we're going to try again.
Can you tell us about the flex lanes, Laura?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I'm having some difficulty hearing, but so yes, happy to be here. I am with ADOT, and so the I-17 improvement project, our Flex Lanes project, is well underway. It's going to be wrapping up later this summer or early fall. And the Flex Lanes it's good news for drivers in that over the 4th of July holiday weekend, the Flex Lanes were made available to drivers over that long holiday weekend in order to move traffic. And so the northbound Flex Lanes were opened up on July 3rd, allowing drivers to have 4 northbound lanes to get to where they're going. And then at the toward the later part of the weekend, the southbound flex lanes were open to drivers or made available to drivers in order to move that southbound holiday traffic. So this was all last weekend. It worked very well. Drivers are really liking the flex lanes, and they will be made available to drivers intermittently over the next several weeks as we continue our construction operations and we head toward completion of this project.
So Laura, I'm glad you all had a great showing with that 4th of July weekend with the flex lanes. For folks who may not be familiar with them, they're like gates, right, that open up and close.
Are they like gates that open up and close?
The flex lanes they have a very specific system to them. Drivers access the flex lanes either northbound or southbound by new crossover lanes that were built, that were constructed. And again, as a reminder, these flex lanes are, it's an 8-mile stretch between Black Canyon City and Sunset Point. So drivers access the flex lanes through crossover lanes off the main line, and then they go through a series of swing gates. If the flex lanes are available and open, the swing gates are obviously open, or we call them deployed, and then or retracted. I'm sorry, it's retracted, and then we have a vehicle arresting barrier that is also this part of the safety operations system, which is obviously drivers will drive under that. And then they continue on the 8 miles of flex lanes until they rejoin the main line. So again, flex lanes are available from Black Canyon City to Sunset Point, 8 miles. And this is a way to move traffic in what can be a very highly congested corridor. That's an area that sees a lot of congestion. And so we decided to construct these flex lanes to be reversible, obviously, and because the terrain in that area is so challenging, very mountainous. We get that question a lot in terms of why did we decide to construct flex lanes instead of adding an additional 3rd lane in that area. And it's simply because of the mountainous area, especially on the northbound side. That creates huge engineering challenges. It would have been very costly and time consuming and very intense for drivers in terms of delays or detours. So that's kind of a little history about why we decided to construct the flex lanes.
All right, Laura Douglas from ADOT. Thank you so much for your time, Laura. We so appreciate it and all the hard work that the ADOT crew is, completing with all of those projects. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve Nielsen is now Desiree Fluellen, and Andy Mack is now Crystal Ortiz. Good morning, ladies. Nice to see you.
Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, so glad you're here. So we are going to chat now about, let me throw up this video here, and this is video of, that's children. Let me go to, hey, Dave, where's the Utah Fire NATO video? VO2. This is VO2 right here, the children we're looking at. VO3. Okay, here we go. This is quite alarming. I feel like this Utah Fire NATO. We see so many wild phenomena here when it comes to weather. The Fire NATO is caught on camera. This is they're right around Utah, the Utah state line. Fire NATO is caused when intense heat from a wildfire spins into a vortex, drawing in flames, ash, and debris. This is part of the Deer Creek fire, which has been burning since Thursday. It is so wild and crazy. And you see the gentleman in the yellow shirt down below. I don't know if that's somebody who lives nearby or someone who is actually part of the wildfire crew, but it's very similar to the wildfire uniform for those fire crews. It has scorched nearly 9,000 acres, 0% containment, and the fire is approaching state line with Colorado as well. This is, Crystal, can you chime in a little bit and share how the winds play a really important role in the firefight here and just in general?
Yeah, so people are always like blown away. When I used to do more school visits, I would always show kids videos of fire nados because they were, wow, like just seeing the video of it. The interesting thing about wildfires is they actually create their own weather systems in a way. So because it's so hot, you can end up with cloud types that you can only see during a wildfire, and the winds can be really erratic, meaning that even though the general flow might be coming from the northwest or from the south, in a fire they can come from different directions and be kind of variable. And that's what you're seeing there is when you get this little whirl up, which ends up looking like a tornado, even though obviously it's not a tornado, but it is a little column of spinning air that's sucking the flames into it, as well as some of the debris.
And when you say they create their own weather systems, I'm like, what? Like within itself internally, or it can even affect things outside of like its perimeter?
Within like the general area where it's at. So sometimes you'll hear something called a pyrocumulus cloud, which is a type of thunderstorm cloud that's developed because of the quick, rapid rise of hot air that creates, if it hits the right amount of moisture in the atmosphere, these thunderstorm clouds. So there's usually during wildfires incident meteorologists from the National Weather Service or some other government agencies that specifically are on the ground just to forecast the weather right where the fire is, because of the fact that it creates its own little system. Almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I went through wildfire training for about a week up in Prescott, and this is maybe like 15 years ago, and it was not for media. It was for firefighters.
Yeah.
And we went through, and some of even the Yarnell firefighters who passed away in that fire, they were my professors.
Wow.
And one of them, he was actually the one teaching the weather course. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like some of them actually called themselves fire herders and not necessarily firefighters, because as you mentioned, like it is a force of nature.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they actually run the show. Like it's their program, it's like in terms of the fire. And so it's, when you look at the weather patterns, sometimes they're just trying to like move it towards a more remote area to burn the forest.
Yeah, when
Sorry
they start
about
to put
that.
those perimeters. Oh, that's okay. Well,
No, it's
we all got cell phones.
I was
about to answer your phone,
Hopefully it's
actually.
not the kids.
But yeah, I mean, quite scary, I think, for a lot of people too, when you're up in our higher elevations. Like think of what happens at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
With what's happening up there.
Yeah, so I've got a couple graphics if you want to take those,
Okay.
and we can talk about that because there's the two fires. So there's the Dragon Bravo.
Is that on graphic? Oh, there you go. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Big D.
And the white sage,
And then the White Sage fire. So the White Sage is larger. It's at almost 50,000 acres now. And then the Dragon Bravo is the one that, admittedly, last week they were watching for it being kind of like it happened by a lightning strike, but they were trying to control burn it, and then it seems to have spun out of control over the weekend, which I don't think was what they were expecting to happen. But the good news is the winds aren't super strong yet up there. You can see the closest reporting stations 3 miles per hour at Bright Angel, 12 miles per hour just along the state line. So they're not super gusty conditions, but the concern is that they will pick up as the day goes on. So the wind gust forecast around the Grand Canyon has this afternoon is picking up to about 15 to 25 mile per hour gusts. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a 30 mile per hour gust that kind of sneaks in there in the afternoon hours.
All right, we got to go to break, Crystal.
Yep.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to leave this up for you so get a good look at it. We'll be right back. everyone. We're going to continue to hang with Crystal here as we talk a little bit about the weather and how this has affected both of the fires up in our higher elevations.
Yeah, so obviously one of the concerns is the heat, and we were just talking about the winds as well. The winds will remain breezy to windy, it looks like, the next several days, unfortunately, which is never great when you're trying to fight one wildfire, let alone two that are both on the North Rim. So the forecast high today is 90. We're nearly 90 tomorrow in the Jacob Lake area, and then Wednesday a little bit cooler as the chance for rain increases. I will say there's a low chance for shower or storm to pop today and tomorrow, but it's more like, say, a 10-20% chance, whereas it increases to that 30 to 40 plus range starting Wednesday and Thursday. So hopefully that'll help out some.
I was going to say, so are you thinking more insignificant in terms of the firefight up there?
And tomorrow probably not going to be super beneficial because it wouldn't be enough rain. And actually there is a concern of some dry lightning, which obviously you do not want in a dry, hot area that's already dealing with wildfires. And then those winds are still going to be on the gusty side too, 20 to 25 today, a little stronger Tuesday and Wednesday. So something to watch out for them. I don't think it's going to be easy conditions the next couple of days, unfortunately.
We also have a comment on that point, Crystal, and sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to mention this. So we have Paul Humphrey who said, why doesn't the federal government supply Western fire departments with extra aerosol planes for these fires being from Cali? These are horrible. They know the problems, so, he's saying just fix it. Let me throw up the poll question and then we'll go back to some of Crystal's maps, because as she's talking about this fire, this is in fact our question of the day this morning on our poll question. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and thank you for the hearts on the chat this morning. And if you're new, Simon Seville, thank you for sharing part of your day with us. And thank you all for sharing your thoughts in the chat. So do you agree with Governor Hobbs' call to investigate the decision? That's Arizona Governor Hobbs, for some of you who may not be in Arizona, to investigate the decision to let the Grand Canyon fires burn. We touched on it a moment ago because one of the fires, I believe it was the Dragon fire, right? Dragon Bravo started as a prescribed burn, and they allowed it to burn a little bit, got out of control. We had crazy winds, hot temperatures, and very dry conditions. So yes, why? Many of you say yes, 45% of you, and 55% of you say no, this is a tragedy. The focus should be on recovery now. So we love hearing your thoughts on this as well, and what your thoughts are on this. And some of you live up in our higher elevations, but when you think about the conditions of our forests, this is for both of you, I think that we've had dry conditions. We've had drought. We've been in a drought for many years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, our short-term drought has worsened, but like long-term drought, we've been in for decades. Yeah. So obviously, there's always a question about allowing for prescribed burns this time of year when it's so hot and when the monsoon can create gusty winds in the vicinity. Yeah. The Dragon Bravo did start as a lightning strike storm, but then they decided to allow it to kind of like fire resources burn because they had handle on it as of last week.
Yeah, just watch it, like babysit it.
What do you think of that coming from like a weather perspective? Is that because we weren't seeing, high wind gusts at the time?
Yeah, I believe that they said that weather conditions, from what I saw from the Grand Canyon National Park Services, is that they thought weather conditions were okay to do it last week in terms of like winds and everything. And then I think over the weekend, the winds ended up being too strong and not expected. Although I do think there's probably going to be questions that come from those
Well, and I think because usually it's cooler up there. It's cooler temperatures up there. And
it was very hot last week, even up in the Grand Canyon. They were under an excessive heat warning in that area. I believe actually it's been extended into this week. So it's still going to be nearly 90 today in that general vicinity where they're fighting the fire.
So I think it was lightning strike was 4th of July. I think so, right? All right. Crystal, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing part of your morning. Let's go ahead and go to Kaylee Schuyler. She is in Texas with the deadly flooding, and she's been covering that for us this morning as well. Kaylee, good morning. Thank you for all your reports that you've done there in the Lone Star State. What are the conditions there this morning right now?
Hi, good morning. I want to apologize for some of the camera movement. There's actually a lot changing really within the last 30 minutes. So if we would have spoken about 45 minutes ago, you would have seen clear skies. It was sunny. It was really hot. Now it started to rain within about the last 20 minutes, which is really a setback for all the volunteers who are out here. So right now we're kind of standing in all the middle of it. I want to show you there are still dive teams in the water. The chief of the dive team spoke with Incident Command, and they are expecting the water levels to rise about 2 feet over the next 4 hours, but they are still working. But if you come this way a little bit, this is a very different scene over here in this field along the riverbank than we saw about 30 minutes ago. There were dozens of volunteers out in this field, excavators, and now you can see they've all cleared out. And that's because about 20 minutes ago, an official came up yelling, "We're clearing the river, we're clearing the river, a wall of water is coming." So really, this is heartbreaking for these volunteers because they said they're essentially starting over from all of the rain over the weekend.
You know, Kaylee, one of the things that we're starting to see now that the water has started to recede as well, we can hear the rain coming down where you're at, so we know that the storms are still on the way. But I think the heartbreaking thing is when you see a lot of what's left behind from the camp. I think one of the images I saw was like a crock from one of the girls who were there.
Yeah, you're really seeing that a lot of places. If we can walk over this way a little bit, I want to show you what's here along the water. Someone has put up a sign, a Bible verse, Psalm 34:18, with the American flag and Texas flag. And everyone, wow, this rain is really starting to come down. I mean, it was not raining 15 minutes ago. I'm sorry to go off course with your question, but this is actually pretty crazy what's happening right now. So we're starting to see the river really pick up a lot too, but everyone's trying to have a positive attitude despite what a tragedy this has been. So yeah, really the community is coming together, but it's just been devastating. You're seeing crosses all over the place. You're seeing things like this with the Bible verse. But really, this is just crazy how this is coming down all of a sudden now.
The nearly 170 people that are still missing. Oh,
yes.
Kaylee, can you hear
Sorry,
me?
it was hard to catch some of your question.
Yeah,
I can kind of hear you now.
Oh, you're right. A lot has changed since your live shot
missing.
started. Yeah, well, all this rain now, could that impact the search today?
Oh, 100%. And that's, what was kind of devastating to these volunteers yesterday is that they had to pause all of their search operations. And really, a volunteer we spoke with the United Cajun Navy, he said a lot of the areas that they had already searched got covered again with debris and with water. So they were bringing out canines today, which now they're all gone. They bringing out the divers to kind of research some of the areas. And you talked about the death toll now. Volunteers and officials are expecting that to go up as the search continues, but right now they just can't catch a break with the weather.
Kaylee, we can see some of your photographer there and you. How do you guys, cover these type of stories day in and day out? Give us an idea of your, thought process when you're out there throughout the week.
Yeah, so my photographer and I, we flew in yesterday, and really it just starts with talking to people in the community, making calls, ask where are things happening. So this morning when we woke up, we didn't know where we were going to be stationed at today, but we spoke with a man with the United Cajun Navy, and he said he was going to be just across the street is a volunteer fire department. And really, you wouldn't be able to see it now if we panned our camera over, but there is a huge, essentially a headquarters for all the volunteers. So they get a brief every morning, and then they're sent out to their assignments. So we really just kind of ended up here because we were talking to people. We knew a lot of volunteers were going to be here. And again, you haven't gotten to see a lot of this, but there were boats out on the water, the excavators, there were canines running through this area. And now it's just becoming a muddy mess.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Kaylee, and well done to you and your photographer. We want to let you go so you can maybe seek some drier ground, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness! All of those.
In a matter of seconds, you see how that changed.
Crazy storms.
And you
Absolutely.
can see how muddy and messy things are getting.
All right, let's go to Jeff Stebbins this morning, Public Information Officer, Great Basin Complex Incident Management Team 6 on the White Sage Fire. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Can you give us the latest on the White Sage Fire location and what kind of acreage are we looking at here this morning?
Sure. So it's about 15 miles south, or more like southeast of Fredonia, Arizona. Current acreage count is about 49,286. That's about 9,000 more than it was yesterday. So it did make a pretty significant run yesterday. However, so far, there have been no structures lost, no fatalities, no injuries. So it's been a pretty successful effort. It's a very large fire and a very fast moving fire, but containment methods are working.
Oh, that's great news to hear. You know, a lot of times with these fires, they bring in crews from all over the country, right? Throughout the month of March, in a lot of states, wildland firefighters train throughout the country. And where are crews from? Are they mostly Arizona crews that are fighting this fire, or are they from other states as well?
Well, they come from all over. Generally, it's divided by region. So this region is called the Great Basin region. It's like Nevada, Utah, part of Idaho. So most of the crews come from there, but they come from all over. I was talking to a guy today who was from Georgia. So yeah, they'll come from anywhere and everywhere they're needed.
And to put the fight in perspective for folks, I mean, how many firefighters are we talking are on the ground, and what tools and resources are you guys able to use to try to get this fire under control?
Sure. So right now there are 467 personnel on this fire, but that's total personnel, including support personnel. Mm-hmm. So that's about 12 crews. Crew is 20 people. So 20 times 12, you can do the math there. That's okay. That many, that's that many people. We've got a few dozers, about 23 engines. Engines usually have 4 to 6 people, depending on the size, and 1 helicopter, although we're borrowing aircraft from other places because retardant has become a very effective tool in this fire.
Okay, and one last question. We just have one more minute with you, if we can, Jeff. When you look at this firefight, how does it compare to some of the other fires that you've seen here in Arizona? We were just talking about moments ago. We have obviously drought here for many, many decades, and our short-term drought has gotten worse in the last several years.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are seeing single-digit humidity and triple-digit heat every single day with wind. So it's and our IMET, the incident meteorologist, was speaking about this just yesterday and saying that this is very significant in that we've been in a state of drought for a very long time, and so it just exacerbates the problem. All the fuels are already just ready to go. It's kind of a tinderbox, but I don't mean to alarm. That mean to sound alarming. These are very fast burning and fast moving fuels, but we're so far taking care of it.
All right, Jeff, well done. And a big thank you to all of our fire crews out there that are working the front lines as well. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you. Hopefully we'll chat with you in the coming days here.
You guys stay safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, let's go to our poll question here this morning. Desiree, do you want to read this one?
Yeah, so we asked, given obviously the 2 fires that are in the Grand Canyon right now, the White Sage and the Dragon Bravo, we asked, do you agree with Governor Katie Hobbs calling to investigate the decision to let those fires burn? 43% say yes. Why did the federal government allow the prescribed fire to burn in the first place? And 57% are saying no right now.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back. Sorry, Dave. Thank you. And here we are this morning. And welcome back. Here's a quick look at that question of the day. Do you agree with Governor Hobbs' call to investigate the decision to let those fires at the Grand Canyon burn? Thank you all in the chat for sharing your thoughts and our blessings and our prayers for all of the crews on the front lines. We also, of course, this morning, I'm going to bring up the mystery camera. Don't worry. We remembered the mystery camera. To all of you in the chat box, thank you for sharing part of your day with us. We have Melinda here. We have some newcomers, I believe, to the chat as well. And if you're new to the chat, let us know where you're watching from. I believe it's Robson Lopes. Thank you for joining us. This is your mystery camera of the day. And so, Desiree, we do this every single morning.
Yeah.
The mystery camera.
This is fun.
What are your thoughts
I
on
don't know.
where
I'm never
this
any
is?
good at guessing where it is, but this one's pretty interesting. Usually we see like a lot of greenery, but here we've got buildings. We've got a Ferris wheel. I don't know. I'm never good at guessing.
I want to
somewhere
say
in the Midwest.
It looks like it's raining or something's coming down. And I want to say we've
I
seen
don't think that's snow.
this
Yeah, rain.
somewhere. Share in the chat where you think this is. So B. Miguel says Canada. Yeah, I think maybe like a Vancouver, potentially. Is that what you're thinking, B. Miguel? We have the carnival, the Ferris wheel. I'm trying to read that sign on the building.
Yeah, like
in
maybe
the
it could be
background.
Toronto.
Oh, maybe. Could be a Toronto.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. We have Melinda says Tucson.
Oh.
Linda Monter says Ohio. And it could be Ohio. It looks like there's still some people out there working as Isabella makes her way here to the set as well.
What's your guess, Syleste?
I think I'm going to go with Canada. I'm going to go with B. Miguel on Canada. Although Linda Monter says, she says Ohio for sure. And what are your thoughts?
She could be right with Ohio,
where
too.
it is?
I don't know where it is, but I'm also going to go with you. As soon as I saw that, I thought it reminded me of Vancouver.
Oh, yeah. I love Vancouver.
Me too.
It's such a great city. Brianna Helsel. She is in Queen Creek, Arizona. Brianna, good morning. We're so glad you're here. Paul Humphrey says America. Gemini 416 says Detroit. And then Gemini 416 is new to the channel, and she or he is in South Phoenix. I accidentally called someone a he when it was a she last week, and so I had to apologize for that. But so I wanted to throw that in there. Gemini says Detroit here. So you asked where we were watching from. Oh yeah, Melinda says where you're watching from. She said Tucson. Okay. All right. Do you want to do the honors, Desiree? You want to go ahead and there's a mystery camera.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's got the answer? Okay, it's right here.
Yes.
All right.
Here we go.
Nobody peeked, we swear. All right. It is. Oh, Calgary,
Alberta. Yes. All right. Well done. Let me give you one last look here at the mystery camera. And yeah, well done, B. Miguel, because you kind of tipped us off.
Look at the clouds now covering the top
that.
of the buildings there. So they're getting some weather activity.
Yeah, they are. It's a beautiful city. They've got a great Chinatown, like dumplings.
Oh, have you been?
So
When?
good. Yeah, we were
okay.
there. We and one year in March. It was so great, so great. It's beautiful, beautiful up in Canada. All right, so Jackie Price, thanks for watching as well. All right, ladies, we are talking about this morning. It's National Nudist Day. And there are around the country a few different communities that have, that hey, you can just walk around buck naked if you want to. What are your thoughts on this?
Free will. People can do what they want to do as long as they're not, bothering or harassing someone else. It's okay with me.
Yeah, Desiree, your thoughts?
I don't know. I think if I was 20, I should have taken advantage of maybe going in the nude back then, but you're not going to find me nude. Not anywhere.
Mr. Palvaline, he was chiming in earlier in the chat. He was like, my goodness, he said, we've got ladies on the set and we're talking about going nude in public. So I wanted to roll. Tom Fergus did a great story. This was back in 2020 during the pandemic. And he went up to Shangri-La, the nudist colony up there, nudist community, I guess you could say, up in New River, north of the valley. Let's go ahead and roll this. Dave, you said VO5. Thank you, my butt. All right, let's go ahead and roll this. Take a look.
Yeah, good morning, you guys. I am up in New River, and it's absolutely beautiful up here. And I'm outside of Shangri-La, which is a nudist resort. It's been here since the 50s, and I remember flying over in the helicopter and waving at everybody over the years. It was always pretty funny to see them down there. But, you know, a lot of people are isolated right now, and I'm guessing a lot of people are hanging around naked around their house. So if you're ever wondering about social nudism, Shangri-La is the place to be. Come on, I'll give you a tour. Hey guys, I want to introduce you to Cindy Faber. She's part of the family that's owned this place for how long now, Cindy?
23 years.
23 years, how fun.
Yeah.
It says family friendly. What do you mean by that, and how's that affecting people at home that are watching this? What are they thinking?
There's a lot of folks that are calling us and they're saying that they're comfortable being nude in front of each other. We offer a family-friendly environment where you can experience that with other families and other people every day, 7 days a week.
Cindy, how many acres you got here, and how many people live here permanently?
We've got 50, we operate on about 50 acres. Full-time year-round, we've got about 100 units. They're all between mobile homes, RV sites, as well as units that we rent out on a long-term basis.
Cindy, tell me about the summer birds. That cracks me up.
We've got folks that come out here starting in May, and they come up on the weekends, enjoy a weekend with us, and then go back to their regular 9 to 5 or their regular lives that they have down in Phoenix.
They like the summer, not the snow.
Absolutely. They love the heat, and we've got some pools to cool them down.
So there's a certain etiquette, isn't there, Cindy, when you come to a nudist resort?
Huge etiquette. Number one is always bring a towel. You're always going to carry it with you, and you're always going to be sitting on something.
Yeah, but there's also no gawking, no photographs as well, right?
Remain eye contact, or maintain eye contact is a huge point. A good rule of thumb to follow is don't do anything you're going to have to apologize for. Nice.
I love it. They've got a pool table, a pop-up shop. It is family friendly in a lot of ways.
We are. We have the same amenities as any resort in Arizona that you're going to find. We just do everything without our clothes on.
You know, you might think that they just lay around, but there's a lot of exercising going on around here.
Absolutely. There's pickleball every morning, water aerobics, line dancing, regular dancing, hiking, walking, petanque, billiards, basketball, volleyball.
All naked.
Absolutely.
So if you're a first-time nudist and you want to come up to Shangri-La, this is probably where you'll stay. This is a rental unit that they have, and you can see they have the full-blown kitchen, they have a sitting area there, full-blown master bedroom, and a little dining area. Cindy, a lot of people might think that this is just for seniors. Are you finding that it's hard to get people that are under 30 to come out here?
Not at all. A lot of our inquiries, folks that have been calling in, asking questions, are young families, young couples. They're looking at coming out and enjoying themselves. We've also found a lot of people made bucket lists during quarantine, and one of the things on a bucket list is to go skinny dipping. So we're here to help you check that off your list.
Cindy, thanks so much for having us. How can people get a hold of you?
Our office is open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Give us a call, send us an email. We'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
There you go, you guys. New River, Shangri-La. If you want to get naked, this is the place to be.
I think that is Tom Fergus. Well done. Well done on that story.
Very tasteful. That was good. I was with Tommy today for our live shot for the morning show, and they love him up there. And they made sure to send him a wonderful picture today to let him know they were celebrating.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just thought pickleball and all the other things, you know, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. People do it.
Water aerobics.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's so wild. All right, I'm going to go to this next story, get your guys' thoughts on this as well. So let's go to, now we're talking, do you clean with your significant other? What are your guys' thoughts on cleaning with your husband or significant other?
I mean, yeah, right. If you're married, it's a tag team in our house. Like, he's cleaning up the kitchen and I might be cleaning up the bathroom or trying to do laundry, you know.
Are you doing it at the very same time?
Sometimes. Right? Because like cleaning is like a non-stop thing in our house with 4 kids. Like,
absolutely.
you know. Yeah. I mean, Johnny cleans with you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll clean the bathrooms in the morning and then he'll do the floors in the afternoon. But if we're doing the laundry or the sheets, I'll be doing the laundry. He'll be folding or dishes, cooking. It's a team effort.
Well, and I think to this, it's like if the idea is that if you spend time together doing it in the kitchen, so like one person is doing the dishes, the other person is maybe putting everything away and wiping down.
Maybe
You
no,
talk-
because
you
sometimes
talk
it's like a tag
together.
team. But folding laundry, we'll fold laundry.
We'll make
Like,
Gary and I
you
will
know.
make our bed together, like on
Yeah.
the weekends. I mean, I get up earlier during the week, so he's still in bed when I come to work. But you think about it, and they say, maybe this is a good thing for couples. You get to talk to each other, and you get to like
You
talk
can
about.
kind of like walk past each other in the kitchen,
Graze
do
each
little,
other.
like
Do a little sneak in a little touch.
Or a hard grab, whatever you
Yeah,
prefer.
however you wanna
We
play
do
it.
not judge here, by the way.
No,
We do not judge. And by the way, Dave, what are your thoughts on this story?
Big D.
Oh my God. Right as soon as you talk about tush grabs. You guys are doing
What
great.
are your
Look at his
thoughts on the
smile.
cleanup?
Any man wants
He's
a
like,
tush
oh yeah, I've
grab."
done it.
That's so funny. Couples who clean together stay together.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Couples who clean together, couples who
Work out
Take their
together.
shoes off together.
Oh yes, take those shoes off
couples
in the
who pray
house.
together. You name it. That's it. All right. What do you got coming up this morning, Anita?
So, you guys know Linda Hardwick from the Phoenix Zoo.
Yes.
She's not here to talk about animals. She, and I know this because we've become friends, like outside of work,
Right.
hikes the Grand Canyon every single year. There's a big group of them. This year they have to cancel because of the fire.
because of the fires.
So we're going to get a hiker's perspective as to losing the lodge, what it's like. She has some pictures that she's sharing as well. And then a couple of districts are heading back to school this week, Wednesday,
Can you
Thursday.
believe it?
I
Summer
know.
is already over for these kiddos.
So we have a doctor coming in who's going to give parents some tips and tricks.
Oh, good. We need them.
Right. How do you get the kids' mindset ready? And then how do parents get their mindset ready? And we'll see where it takes us.
Okay.
Okay.
And I have to say, for a lot of kiddos who are going back to school this week, the parents are thinking, thank goodness.
And the kids have anxiety sometimes,
They
right?
do.
Well, are your kids ready, Celeste?
My kids are actually like a week after, and I'm trying to press this wide shot, James. It's not working. The two shot button. There we go. My kid was ready. My seventh grader was ready the week after school ended. She loves her school. She loves her school. She loves her friends. So they have such a great community. And so she was like, I can't wait for school to start. I can't wait for school to start. And then they're ready. They're ready. I think kids thrive in structure, which is hard for me to give them at home sometimes because as working parents, school age, it's challenging.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, mom, dad,
it gives parents a little bit of time and structure as well.
It does.
Yeah.
Because if they're
little-
in school from 8 to whatever, you've got that time to
work out,
whatever it
prep
is that you need
dinner,
to be doing.
grocery store,
Yeah.
laundry, whatever. All right, Anita.
Okay.
Anita's going to take
Take it
over.
away,
I'm
girl.
going to hang out with her as well here in a little bit, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you want to hit the buttons? Is that right? welcome on in. Let me see if I can get this right. I think so. So when we started the stream show, I used to hit the buttons, and then I wanted Ty to learn how to hit the buttons in case I ever took some time off.
Correct.
And then he just took over the buttons.
And now you're back to hitting the button.
And now I don't remember which buttons I should be hitting.
You're like, what am I doing?
Yeah. My goodness. Okay.
You got it, girl. You got it.
Thanks for hanging out, staying with. And this is Linda Hardwick, you guys. We've had the Phoenix Zoo on so many times.
I know. Everybody in the green room was thinking I was here for the zoo. I said, no.
No, something, totally different. How everything's good at the zoo?
Everything's good at the zoo. Close early because it's so hot. Animals are staying hydrated and
you guys are open early, 6 a.m.,
6
right?
a.m. to
Yeah.
members, yeah. 7 to 1. Anytime after 1 o'clock, it's just too hot. So,
yeah.
Mr. Shade, watering early, air-conditioned night houses for all the animals, send the guests and staff home early. So it's good.
You have to be smart about it. We brought you on because I know, just from all of our chats at the zoo, that you hike the Grand Canyon rim to rim. You've done so every single year for how many years?
6 years. I've done it 6 years in a row. I've missed a couple of the last years just because of some work conflicts, which I'm super bummed about, but I consistently did it 6 years in a row. But I will say I'm a rookie compared to the folks in the group that I go with. They're 20 years in doing this every year.
So we've been talking about the fires that are burning. We have 2 big fires that are burning in the Grand Canyon area.
So who are these people right here, Linda?
Okay, so this is the group I go with, and I will give a shout out to my friend Kelly Goodman Brown. She is one of my best friends from high school, and she started this 20 years ago.
Wow.
It started as a birthday trip for her uncle.
Oh, wow.
And the Goodmans, it's a big family in Mesa. And so it started out family, cousins, and then every couple years, a friend would say, hey, I really want to do this rim to rim with you. So then every couple years, she would add on a few friends. And I luckily enough have been able to go consistently with them. I've been kind of adopted into their family.
This right here, are you kidding me? It is one of the most spectacular places. Like if you just go to the top of the rim and you watch, it's one thing. But when you go down or like Lee's Ferry or you're down in the, it is just, it's just spectacular. It's amazing.
Stunning. It's really hard to describe, to be honest. I was thinking about it when Anita texted me this morning asking me about it. I would say it is probably the closest I have ever felt to a higher power.
Oh, wow.
Anything that just looking at how beautiful this is and how it's there and it's just one of the natural wonders of the world. You feel it. You feel it when you're in it. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And every year we joke each other. We're like, we start out and we're strong and we're feeling
good.
Before.
You got your happy face on.
You're happy. It's early in the morning. Some of these photos you're can
smiling.
Tell. We're smiling. We're loving it. And then there's a few other photos that will roll here. It's like, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah, why am I doing this
Why
again?
am I doing this again? How can I leave my children behind and do this?
This is on my bucket list.
We should. You know what? We should do it together. I would love to do this.
Too. And there was one year where I almost was able to go with Linda, but again, work conflict. I couldn't get the time off. I think that was the year where it was like 120 degrees, and you said it was really tough. And that's part of it, is that you don't really know what the elements will bring, including these wildfires. So we have the sage fire that is burning, and then we have the Dragon Bravo fire. Unfortunately, so much devastation. And I wanted your perspective. We've talked to the experts up there, so we know what's going on. We think we know what's going on with the wildfire from someone who loves the Grand Canyon, who has experienced that feeling of a higher power inside the Grand Canyon. The lodge is devastated. You have photos in the lodge. What is it like watching this?
It's devastating. I mean, you look at that and go, oh my gosh, was that the cabin that I spent the night in?
Oh.
And that lodge, that's where we meet. Everybody meets there. We have dinner in that beautiful dining room that overlooks the canyon. We sit out on that patio with that stone wall, and we, along with everybody else who's there that night, take turns sitting along that wall, taking photos of everybody else, and that's where you see those big group photos from. That's what we do. That is what we start out on a Friday night. We meet at the lodge. We have dinner. We take our photos. We stay up fairly late because we got to get up pretty early. But you're reminiscing with friends and family that we don't see each other until we do this every September. And I texted my friend Kelly, who is coordinating this, yesterday when I saw the breaking news. And I said, what's the plan? And she's like, I don't know. We've just got to figure out what we're doing. And I texted her this morning for an update, and she said they're closing it. It's closed for the season. We're not going to be able to do it. You can't do rim to rim right now. So as a group, we're looking at where else can we go, because it's the memories you make with these people, because it's so difficult to do rim to rim, and you train for it and you plan for it and you're cheering each other on. And some people in my group, they get out, they run it in 6 hours. Other people were waiting for It's crazy.
So I heard, how does it work? I once interviewed a group of surgeons that did it rim to rim. Half of them drove to the North Rim. The other half went to the South Rim. They exchanged car keys at the bottom of the canyon, and then they went back up. And I thought that was actually how does it work with your group?
So with my group, we have about 35 of us. We actually bring up 2 15-passenger vans and then a few other cars. We have drivers. We have people who are just coming up to drive. So we all connect Friday night there at the lodge. After we've left Mesa, we all connect for dinner. Spend the night. The majority of us take off hiking Saturday morning, and then the drivers go get a couple hours of shut-eye. They'll have a little breakfast, then they drive all the way around to the South Rim, and they meet us there.
Oh, wow.
And that's quite a drive, isn't it? It's not a quick drive.
No, and they have to hurry to get the hardcore ones that get out in 6 hours. But then there's, some people it can take us 15 hours.
Because the North Rim, I think, is 8 hours from the valley, I think. Maybe.
It is. Give or take.
Give or take 8 hours. But do you any stops like at Wine Country and Cottonwood on the way home or anything, or straight shot?
Do you know what's funny? So we're crazy. So we hike on Saturday, we get out and we drive home.
Wow, good for you.
We drive home right after, because we've got the drivers who are refreshed. The rest of us are
just like in the car.
Out
is there a post meal that you get, like a?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So at the South Rim, we do go down to the Maswick. I think that's how it's pronounced. We go there, and they've got a cafeteria, and we all just get together there and talk about how crazy we are and how hard it was. And everybody already that night, we're Venmoing Kelly. Here's my money for next year.
Well, and I have to say, it's not you're crazy, but you're kind of bad too, because to do something like that is quite intense. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, now it's heartbreaking to see the latest images on like what is going to happen this year.
I know. Well, and when can they reopen it again for people to go and enjoy it again? Obviously, the lodge, that's going to probably take years if they're going to rebuild that. But when can they open the trail? When will it be safe to start at that North Rim and head all the way across to the south? So because the trailhead where you start is several miles away from the actual Grand Canyon Lodge. So, but the fact that they have it all closed right now, I'm not really sure what that plan is, when that will reopen.
Tell people about that lodge. You mentioned they have a beautiful restaurant, that wall where you can take the photos. We have so many people who have not been able to experience the Grand Canyon and its beauty. What is that lodge like?
It's really magical, because it's not like your modern lodge at all. I mean, it's very rustic.
This is the North Rim.
This is the North Rim. Yeah. So it's very rustic. Obviously, there's wood, but the outside of it is just this beautiful stone. It's the stone that matches that patio area that you keep seeing. And they've got a really nice visitor center and a gift shop there. And then they've got all those individual cabins, which are very old. I mean, it's definitely, you're not luxury camping when you go there. You're kind of laughing like, this is funny. This is not a place that I would stay any other time.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, but we would all cram in, 4 to 6 of us in a cabin, and we just try to get as much sleep as we can. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful area, and it's just covered with trees. And, the North Rim is not the most popular part of the canyon. A lot of people go to the South Rim. It's closer to the valley. It has a little bit more for you to see and do. But I think that's what makes the North Rim so special, is it's just those people who are doing what you're doing. They're the adventure seekers. They're going down and they're hiking.
Yes.
And it's really just quaint and beautiful, and everybody's friendly because you're all in it together.
Yeah.
And it's
you
one of
all
those
know why you're
camaraderie.
there. Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to rebuild. We don't know how long it will take them. Well, we hope they're going to rebuild. I shouldn't say obviously. But will it be the same with a different lodge?
No, I can't imagine it would be. I mean, unless they follow the exact footprint, that they had before. But will they take this as an opportunity to make it bigger and
Bigger,
better? I'm not really sure, but it will never be the same.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It's interesting when you look at the history too. I think Anita and I, when we were anchoring together today, and we learned that it actually had been destroyed once before in 1930
because of a basement fire.
And so they've had to rebuild it once already, and so now they'll have to do it again, and hopefully they keep the same footprint of the
I would like to see
layout
that.
of the because I think it as you mentioned holds so many memories. So there's a sentimental value there.
Definitely. And it's, it's funny because I was going through my photos and I just have a lot from inside the canyon. I didn't take a ton of the actual lodge, and now I'm really sad I didn't. But I mean, their views from the windows that they have there are just breathtaking. That dining room I mentioned, it's stunning. It really is beautiful.
You were pointing to something that was at 120 degrees. Where was that?
So that was at Indian Garden. I think they've renamed
There
it
it is.
recently.
Havasupai Gardens,
So
I think is what they call it now.
It is no joke when they say that, rim to rim is not recommended for everybody. And I'm not an expert, but I train.
How do you train?
Just lots of hiking ahead of time.
okay.
Lots of hiking ahead of time. We'll go up and do Mount Ord. We'll do Mount Humphreys. And you do a lot of training in the summertime because you want your body to be acclimated to that. So that was probably the time that it took me a good 13 hours to get out, which was my hardest time to get out.
13.
Nonstop.
Rim to rim.
Rim to rim. Yeah.
Wow.
My best time is 9.5 hours, but that's on a really good day when you've got some
You feel
clouds,
good,
you're
the weather's
feeling good.
And the crazy thing is too, if you've never seen the trails, there's no rail.
No.
And some of them I've heard are very narrow. We're gonna do it one day.
We're going to do it one day, and maybe with Linda. Actually,
do it with me. Yeah, you've got to go. Yeah, you've got to go with people who know where to go and who've done it, and I'll cheer you on.
And where do you refuel with water?
So there are several water stations on the way down and on the way up, as long as you're going up the Bright Angel portion.
Okay.
Which, when we were planning for this year, we were going to have to make adjustments because that area was under construction. So the South Kaibab is actually steeper to go up, and there's no water. So we were already making adjustments. Now it's okay. Now we're not going.
That's a no-go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you, though.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story.
Of
We're going to take a little
course.
break, and then maybe next year, hopefully, you'll be back with more positive stories.
Maybe the three of us will be back to share.
Maybe
share our adventures.
One day, folks. We'll be right back, everyone. Stay close. We've got an expert talking about back to school habits after the break.
We're chatty Cathy's
See,
here.
This is why I have Syleste here, because she's like, hey, girl, you're back on. You're back on.
But I love it. Because that is perfect for this platform,
Right.
which, of course, our special guest, we were just, you were sharing with him.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
different. We get to chat. This is Dr. Shane Rainey with...
Banner Health, Banner Children's at
And
Desert.
you're a pediatrician.
Yes, ma'am.
And...
I'm a pediatric hospitalist, so I take care of sick children when they are admitted to the hospital.
Wow. Look
Thank
at
you.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
for
not
all
an
you
easy
do.
job.
And so our goal is to not have you hospitalized.
Absolutely.
We want to keep you healthy.
We
That's
don't
what
want
we're
any
here for.
kids sick. So back to school. We have a couple of different districts heading back Wednesday and Thursday because we have a partial year-round or year-round school. And I think a lot of parents, including Syleste, may want to ask and get a little bit of advice. And as Syleste mentioned, any questions you're willing to answer. How do you get kids ready to head back into the classroom emotionally, physically, mentally?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and it's one we talk about a lot. And I think it's helpful to start and frame the conversation with, education. It's often academic attainment, but it's a lot more than that. I mean, education is really it's an atmosphere. It's really a discipline, and it's really a lifestyle. And we want to foster that lifelong love of learning in our children, and that really starts at home. The setup and the preparation for that really starts at home, and it's important for us to go back to the basics. And I think in summertime, it's easy to subsist on energy drinks and bags of potato chips.
Oh my gosh.
Don't say
and
that.
things like that. And that's really not going to set us up for success at school. And so it's really getting back to the basics of nutrition and hydration and sleep and exercise.
I'm glad you mentioned the energy drinks because I think, and not just for kids, but I mean, you walk into any convenience store and you've got 30 different kinds of energy drinks. As a pediatrician and as a doctor, I'm assuming you seem like a pretty healthy guy, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on energy drinks for people in general?
I think in general, I hesitate to make sweeping generalizations because everybody's so unique, but I really think they're unhealthy for you. I think the level of caffeine is higher than what you should have been exposed to generally at one point in time. And a lot of them are loaded with sugar. It's processed sugar. And it's not only energy drinks, it's sodas too.
Yeah.
And soda's definitely not a substitute for water, and neither is an energy drink. And these things are sometimes loaded with 70, 80 grams of sugar, and that's processed
But
sugar.
coffee's okay.
Black coffee's great. There's actually a study came out last week
Yes,
about black
Celeste,
coffee.
coffee is
It's great.
okay, iced or hot.
Yeah.
So Celeste, you mentioned, getting the kids off the chips and the snacks and the energy drinks. Is that what happens in the summertime? It's kind of like when we're on vacation, we have those cheat days or cheat weeks, and the kids are just taking a little bit of time. And they should be able to relax and be kids, play and run around and enjoy. But it's difficult to say no more energy drink, no more this.
It is. It's really tough. And that's why those routines are best to start now before we go back to school within the weeks to really get those disciplines and those routines established before we go back on the first day of school.
So walk us through kind of the first step. How far in advance do we need to get our kids ready? Like, let's say there's kiddos going back, as Anita mentioned, on Wednesday, Thursday. Is it too late to get them ready? Like now, today, okay, we're on a new routine.
Well, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now. It's today. And so it's never too late.
Yeah.
And some of those things, the changes gradually are better than maybe all at once, depending on how your family functions, but definitely starting them sooner rather than later.
And is breakfast still the most important part of the day? And I mean, I need quick breakfast. Like my kids are busy. I'm busy. I'm not even home when my kids get up. And so they've got to make something on their own.
Right. And I think it is a very important meal of the day. And it's definitely important to eat a well-balanced diet. And breakfast is a cornerstone of that.
I know when I was in school, I stayed up late in the summertime, reading, talking on the phone. And as you got older, you headed out with friends.
I like how you started with reading. Reading the Encyclopedia Britannica, studying
the dictionary. I memorized it. How do we get kids back on that healthy, good sleep schedule?
Yeah, that's probably one of the most important things that you can do. And it's really starting with that bedtime routine. For our younger kiddos, our school age, our grade school, kindergarten, it's brush, bed, book. Get rid of the screens. Get rid of it an hour before bed. Brush, bed, book. Brush your teeth. Read a book for a few minutes. It really engages the mind and starts getting ready for that refreshing circadian rhythm sleep. And so brush, bed, book is good brush, book, bed is good for our younger kids.
That's
and
good.
a good routine for our adolescents too, as we need to cut the screens. We don't need to be laying in bed scrolling scrolling TikTok until 3 a.m. We don't need to have TVs in our room.
I
We
think
need to
that's
get
good
on a
for
routine
adults
bedtime.
as well.
Good for us,
Yeah,
too.
we can. Yeah.
What do you think is an appropriate time to have your kid
good
on
question.
social media, TikTok, or something like that
And what
per
time should
day?
they be in bed?
Yeah, great questions. I mean, the general recommendation is less than an hour of screen time a day. And this is really tough in a system that prioritizes technological integration. And we have 4, 5, 6 hours of screen time a day, sometimes at school. And so I think I would encourage you really to talk with your family and try to prioritize meaningful technology use at home.
Right.
And maybe try to eliminate some of that at home since they get it at school, and really work on reconnecting. Family dinner, having a bedtime routine, reading together at night. Those are things that you
I
can
love
really
family
do.
dinners.
Family dinners are great.
And let me just say, I mean, we're on here on Fox 10 Talks for 90 minutes. So maybe we can lengthen it to 90 minutes a day here, Doc, because people want to watch on YouTube.
Let me read you some statistics. 80 said this is according to the study cited by the New York Post. 87% of parents find it difficult to coordinate family schedules in the school year. 57% of parents struggle with fitting in all the activities, and 44% of parents find back to school preparation the most stressful time of year. So it's not just kids who are stressed out. It's parents as well.
It can be very stressful. I'm a parent of 3 school-age kids, and thinking about getting their lunches ready for the week, thinking about what they're going to eat. Do I have this from the grocery store? Are we out of milk? Do I need to buy eggs? Like the little things I think that maybe I never really thought about, that is actually a big concern. Here's a question for you, Dr. Shane, from the chat. It has to do with the person that had the plague up in the high country. Should there be a concern with kids, or is it just keeping your kids, making sure that they're healthy day to day?
Yeah, both. I've never seen a case of plague in my career, and I know there's certain cases of plague that happen every year that kind of come about. But for your kids, it's definitely prioritizing health, and so getting those right nutrition recommendations, getting a lot of sleep, and talking to your pediatrician about preventative medicine and ways that you can keep your kid healthy. And if you don't have a pediatrician, you can certainly go to bannerhealth.com and pick one of our fantastic pediatricians from our list. We'll be happy to have you.
Okay, so speaking of health, when the kids head back to school, maybe they didn't see their friends throughout the summer. They were very social. Calendars don't always allow that. They're heading back to school. They're touching everything everyone else is touching. They're going to start getting colds. They're going to start getting flus. They're going to start getting sick. Is there a way to prevent that? Because obviously they're around more people now. How do you treat it? When do you call out? When do you take them to a pediatrician or a doctor?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the main thing is prevention. And if you get an appropriate amount of sleep, and back to your question, the grade school recommendation from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine is 9 to 12 hours for grade school kids. That's a high number.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of number. And it's 8 to 10 hours for adolescents. These are high numbers.
And I think that the trick that I've learned, and it doesn't always work, but I have a son who's 15 and he wants to grow more. And so I said, well, you're going to grow when you sleep. So if you want to grow, you better get to bed. And so,
wise mom advice.
That is so brilliant.
Like,
I hope he's not watching.
No, he's not.
I hope he's not watching.
How can I twist this and manipulate the situation to benefit mom? Right? I mean, I think for the time being, anyways, it's like, how do we do this? And how many calories should kids be consuming? Because I'm trying to cut my calories, but it's hard.
Need more.
They need more.
They need more to sustain healthy learning and appropriate brain development.
Yeah.
It's definitely important to emphasize the protein. We talk about breakfast as one of the cornerstones of the day. High protein breakfast. Things grab and go is great. Hard-boiled eggs, prepackaged healthy granola bars, and things that you can eat on the fly. And sometimes eating your dinner leftovers for breakfast is a great way to get that protein in. I mean,
we do that a
somewhere
lot with
else.
our schedule. Our schedule's so weird. Can we talk about mental, emotional health? The anxiety of going back to school. Maybe you were picked on the year before. Maybe you're going to a new school. Maybe you're starting a new high school. You don't know anyone, or you just, things change, right? How do you explain to your kids if you're fortunate enough that they trust you with their feelings, or how do you sit down and talk to them about what to expect, what can be done?
Sure. I think it's very important to say this is a normal experience. I mean, anxiety is very common and it's part of the human condition. And so you don't need to beat yourself up about feeling anxious. And so talking to somebody you trust, hopefully your parents or one of your trusted teachers or somebody at school about, how do we make friends and how do I integrate back into school, and the routine's a little bit different. And I really think limiting your social media use helps with that too, because social media has definitely been linked to higher rates of loneliness and isolation.
The FOMO thing, right? Too.
Yeah,
like you see everybody, they're getting together before school starts, and why wasn't I invited? Like the FOMO thing it's a real thing with kids.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's definitely made worse, like the wildfire of social media, and it's easy to catch on before you even realize it's there. So really being intentional with our social media use and intentional with our technology use, even prior to school going back, is very important for parents to stress to the children.
What about the kids, though? If they do see that kid who's left out, maybe sitting by themselves in the cafeteria. So there's that fear that if you're going to be nice to the kid who is a little bit, I don't know, dorky, different, right?
Unique.
Sure. Unique. If you're going to be nice to that kid, then all of your friends are going to give you a hard time. How do you stick up for yourself and say, no, the right thing to do is, or, how would you tell kids to
do the right thing?
Do the right thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's that easy. You say it's not always going to be easy, but doing the right thing is what we expect. And our family values that we expect you to do the right thing, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the golden rule. We really try to live that out. And it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be straightforward. Sometimes it's going to cost you stuff. But knowing that that's an expectation and really talking about that ahead of time may be helpful to the kids.
We brought up the plague. We had a question about the plague. And now Melinda is asking, how concerned should parents be with the rise of measles? Excellent question. How old is too old for the vaccine? I know someone who works at a local hospital who said that they had a case of mumps, someone who tested positive for mumps. Haven't seen that in the news. It hasn't been released, but are people worried about the measles?
I think there's a lot of worry out there about the measles, and I think the best thing is to talk to your pediatrician about the recommendations for a vaccine and the schedule and where we're at with that, and really checking in with some of those preventative health things we talked about, getting adequate sleep, eating a healthy diet, balanced diet, and trying to keep your body as healthy as possible to try to deal with some of these things.
Sleep definitely seems to be the one thing that you keep coming back to.
I almost went into sleep medicine. So I thought it was really cool.
I agree, though,
so
because I'm an insomniac. I have a terrible sleep, and I force myself to lay down at 5:30 p.m., 6 o'clock p.m., because I get up at 1:30 in the morning for work. So I force myself to lay down. I know, don't laugh. It's not funny.
That's actually really good for you. I mean, I'll be up late folding laundry or starting the... Yeah.
She'll come in, and I'll say, Celeste, what time did you go to bed? She's like, 10 p.m., and she's in at 6. So you're, but
it's a little bit later.
A little bit later, but my problem is staying asleep.
Yeah.
I'm up constantly every couple of hours. So when you say sleep is important, I hear you.
Vital.
I just don't know how to find it.
And they say as you get older, even, like I'm doing all these, Anita and I have talked about this, like what type of vitamins should we be consuming? What type of, trying to stay healthier and younger, because my kids, as they become older, I want to be around like when they have babies. And so I want to be around as long as I can. So I'm like, so they say even as you get older, sleep is even equally important.
Definitely vital. Yeah. And you do definitely get worse at sleeping the older you get. So creating those habits, I hate to break it to you. Sorry, your REM sleep lasts less duration. And so establishing those habits early.
Dr. Shane, you've been so great this morning.
Thanks for having me.
A wealth of knowledge. How do people find you?
You mentioned supplements really quickly.
Go ahead.
10 seconds.
Sure.
Really quick wrap up. Should kids be taking vitamins and supplements?
A general multivitamin would be great for kids. It's got everything you need in there. Vitamin D is probably one of the most important for immune health, at least, and we're learning a lot more about it every day.
Remember the Flintstones?
Yeah.
Me too. They were like so good.
All right. How do people find you?
You can find us at bannerhealth.com. We're at Banner Children's at Desert Medical Center, and so we're the pediatric hospitalist. We have a bunch of outstanding community pediatricians that go with our group, and we'd love to see you.
Great advice. Thank you.